Tennessee This Week from WATE 6 on your side starts now.
The race for Knoxville mayor, we are hearing from two more candidates today, Michael Andrews and Fletcher Burkhardt. Plus, GOP caucus members pick an East Tennessean as their nominee to be the next House Speaker right now on Tennessee This Week. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tennessee This Week. I'm Kristen Farley. We are diving right back into the candidates for Knoxville mayor. On the ballot, Fletcher Burkhardt, India Kincannon, Eddie Manis, also Calvin Skinner, Marshall Stair, and our guest today, Michael Andrews. Michael, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Let's go ahead and just start off. Tell everyone at home a little bit about yourself and why you decided to get into this race.
Okay, truthfully speaking, honestly, the Lord put it on my heart about 7 years ago, and and I've always wanted to be proactive and be a part of change, and I see so much potential that our city has that we just haven't tapped into.
Michael, right now, have you run for any other office before or involved in the community in other ways? You're a barber here in town? Tell us a little bit about that.
I've been cutting hair for quite some time. I don't want to tell how many years because I'll tell my age. but what it's done is that it's allowed me to really just be in touch with the community and really just learn how to feed the need. Just find out the needs of people and be able to address them.
A lot of people say that in hair salons and barber shops is where you hear what's really going on.
Oh yes, we get the uncut truth.
All right, let's talk a little bit about taxes. A lot of mayors in the past have faced that issue of whether they would back a tax increase. Would you back an increase, and if so, what for?
I wouldn't back a tax increase. What I would do is that I would try to bring more elements to the table that can be taxed, as far as like bringing big industries to the table. One of the things that I think that we could really do is that we can take a page from our sister city of Pigeon Forge and invest more into tourism. I think that would really help out the city of Knoxville by doing those things.
All right, let's talk a little bit about some of the current events going on right now. The Knoxville Police Department right now facing some allegations of misconduct. What do you think about the way the police chief and the mayor handled this so far, and what would you like to see done in a situation like this?
What I would like to see done is that I would just like to see, I would like to see it addressed, but also be able to keep the to keep the confidence of the city. A lot of times, anytime that you have any type of conflict or anything, a lot of times what it can do is that it can kind of water down either the support or the trust of the communities.
A lot of people are concerned about that. Public safety, as mayor of the city, would be a big concern. How do you see handling the police force, and what would you like to see done within the police department?
One thing that I would do is that I would like to kind of mend the fence between law enforcement and communities. I think that by building a relationship, what that does is that helps them as far as allowing them to do their job better, and then it also allows our communities to feel safer.
Do you think that's a big problem here in the city of Knoxville?
Not as big as what it is in a lot of other cities, but there's always room for improvement.
Community policing, do you like that concept of having the police almost like precincts in different communities and being more involved in that individual area of town? Do you think that's an effective way to do things?
I think that would be an effective way, as long as there's some type of training, like sensitivity training, something that allows or trains them to have good relationships with the people in which the communities that they're enforcing.
Let's talk a little bit about Recode Knoxville here. This has definitely been something that we've been talking about, not for weeks, but for months,
yes.
Some people longer than that. In terms of where it is right now, do you think it is a good idea? Do you think it needs to move forward right now?
I think that it's definitely a good idea. I mean, it hasn't been touched in over 50 years. But at the same time, I think that what we need to do is that we need to take our time and really just focus on making sure that everybody gets involved, and also that the plan that comes to the table is that's going to benefit the masses.
Do you think that there's been enough discussion around this and it's time to vote on it, or do you think there needs to be more discussion?
I think that there needs to be more discussion and less rush. To me, it seems like seems like they're too quick to do it, and I think there's been something like 5 revisions in about the past 18 months or 2 years, and I know I said once that my father used to get on me about me making my bed, and he said that if you got time to make it twice, then you had time to do it right the first time.
Let's talk a little bit about homelessness. Homelessness, big problem here in the city. Current administration has been trying to tackle it with that safe space under I-40 and some other methods as well. Do you have a plan for tackling that here in our community?
One of the things that I plan on doing is that I plan on feeding the programs that are already have a heart and have a plan for it. A lot of times, like our programs, they can't really do what it is that they're called to do. I feel like it's a passion, and when it's a passion, I feel like we need to invest in it and allow those people who have a passion for it to do their best.
All right, we have one last question here real quickly. What is your overall vision? How would you like to see Knoxville move forward? And if you were to become mayor, what would people expect to see?
One of the things that I would like to see for us to operate as a one community concept. That's pretty much my whole platform is, where every part of town, regardless of where you live, is a mirror image of itself. So what it does is that everybody prospers at the same time, and it just makes for a better place. And I think that if we work together as a whole, then I think that what we can do is that Knoxville can become a prototype that other cities can follow.
How do you accomplish that? I said one last question, but you brought me right to that. How do you accomplish that?
Inclusion. A lot of times, like with government, what happens is that you have a small group of people who make big decisions for the masses, and a lot of times they're not involved in the decision making. So I think that by doing 100% inclusion, making sure that everybody's aware of what's going on and how it's going to affect them, I think that's the best way to go.
All right, Michael, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much.
We
I
appreciate it. All right, everyone, still to come, another candidate for Knoxville mayor. We're talking with Fletcher Burkhardt. Stay with us. You're watching Tennessee This Week on WATE 6 on your side. Welcome back, everyone, to Tennessee This Week. We are continuing to introduce you to Knoxville's mayoral candidates, and recently WATE 6 on your side anchor Lori Tucker had a chance to sit down with Fletcher Burkhardt.
First question, who are you?
Well, my name is Fletcher Knoxville Burkhardt. I'm a local guy, born and raised. I went to Norwood Elementary, Northwest Middle School, and then I went to West High School. And then when I was 17, I decided I want to be mayor of Knoxville. It's my favorite place on earth, and I want to make it a better version of itself every single day.
So when you were 17, you're 32 now.
Yes, ma'am.
Not a lot of time has passed for a decision this big. So give me 3 reasons why now is the right time to run.
I think the landscape of the political world currently, we need more non-traditional candidates stepping up to make real change. I think I've been committed to this city. I got the nickname Knoxville in college because of how much I talked about my hometown. My rugby teammates literally would tell me all the time, like, Fletcher, stop talking about Knoxville. So I think that the commitment's there, the non-traditional eagerness, and as a millennial, we're basically raised to work hard. I mean, we have been forced to work our butts off to get where we want to be. And I've spent the last 15 years studying political atmospheres, political decisions, taxes, economics, government's failures, shortcomings, wins. And I bring a lot to the table. This was my goal. I don't plan on running for an office after. I don't want to run for office before. It's not a stepping stone. This is what I want to do. I want to give up every single thing to serve this city to make it better.
So if you don't emerge the winner, you're not going to run again?
Maybe in 4 to 8 years, but I won't run for city council. I'm not going to run for anything else. I don't want to become a career politician. We have too many of those in the world right now, I think.
Let's talk about the issues.
Yes, ma'am.
Recode Knoxville. What do you think?
From day one, I've said I'm totally against it.
Why?
It's a one-size-fits-all for an extremely diverse, inclusive city, and I think that the negative repercussions on specific communities are going to be drastic. I think that gentrification in East Knoxville should be a big concern for the way Recode is laid out right now. I also believe that, they've said lots of times that they want to, they've told people about it, they've educated people. And if they truly believe that, and it's better for everyone, like they say it is, then let our communities vote on it. Because if it's better and they've educated, then no one would have a reason to vote no. And that's not the case. There's too many people that are still upset about it, and they're scared about what it's going to do to their property rights.
All right, we'll see what happens with that one. Here's one thing. Knoxville has to grow.
Absolutely.
Or it won't stay alive. How do you balance growth with preserving what makes Knoxville so special?
Yeah, Knoxville is a big city with small town people. It is beautiful. It's my favorite place on earth. It's tough to balance that, but if you hold true to who you are and so my goal is to make Knoxville a better version of itself every day, not change Knoxville. Because we're a great place to be, we're a great place to visit, we're a great place to live, and we need to show people that. And I think that there is a balance there. But I mean, we've lost who we are, from losing events like Boomsday and things that really gave heartbeat to our city, that gave people a reason to be here and come to our city. So I think that there's some things we can do to bring people here and we'll still be who we are. Like, I don't think it's going to change us. Yeah, I don't think it would.
You've talked about bringing back Boomsday.
Yeah.
And some other Sundown in the City.
Yeah, Sundown in the City, I remember going to that every single week. And look at what Live on the Green does for cities like Nashville. I mean, I've driven from here to Nashville to go to Live on the Green for a night and then driven back.
But that's it. Boomsday lost money. Sundown in the City got too big in too small a space.
We've had the performance lawn at World's Fair Park for, I believe, almost 15 years. I think it was 2004 or 5 that the convention center was finished. I would love to see Sundown in the City move to the performance lawn so it can accommodate more people. Market Square was not big enough for that event. I've talked about getting rid of the entertainment tax to really start to bring music back to our city, which I think attracts people. It gives people more of a reason to be here rather than just having bars, to do things in the evening. People want to go to venues. People want to go spend time at concerts. People travel to go to concerts. And, I'd love to see Boomsday become a weekend-long music festival, a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Have some big-name acts. We lost money every year with almost 400,000 people. And if you lose money with 400,000 people, that's not good business. Yeah. It's not. Tell anyone. I mean, think a UT game makes hundreds of thousands of dollars every game. And there's 107,000, a quarter of what was at Boomsday. Yet in one game, they would make enough to pay for Boomsday.
Something to think about.
Absolutely.
I'm going to switch gears on you big time right now.
Awesome.
We're going to talk about the Knoxville Police Department.
Okay.
Allegations of misconduct. Are you satisfied right now with the response from KPD?
Oh, this is a tough one. I'm following it. I'm paying attention. Anytime things like this happen, you have to take action. I don't know, because I believe the gentleman retired, which is extremely, honestly, it's cowardice. He knew he did wrong and he ran from it. And so it's tough because it's not a criminal charge for the most part. And so I don't know what we can do, but we need to set precedents so this doesn't happen again.
Yeah, beyond that, what can the city do to help people feel comfortable and protected at work in a city job such as the police department?
We need to, I think, definitely some classes. Like I said, it's such a tough subject because, it's not everyone that's breaking or doing that. So it's like, do we punish everyone? And I think right now, we do need to find a way to set an example and set precedents and just say, hey, if this happens again, here's the outcome, period. No negotiations. They have zero tolerance rules for everything when you're in high school and college and elementary school, yet when you get a job and there's not. So I think it does need to work out something like a zero tolerance policy for anything sexual harassment. It's just unacceptable, period.
Let's talk about homelessness.
That's
a subject.
About, yeah.
Yes, I know you are passionate about it. What can the city do that has not already been done? Is there anything new out there?
Absolutely, yeah. Honestly, to me, it bothers me that everyone always says housing first, because we're in a housing problem. So does it just mean you're going to do nothing? If there's no affordable housing, what are we going to do? So I'm looking at a couple different models that I really enjoy. There's a nonprofit out of Austin called Mobile Fish and Loaves that does incredible work. They buy up a lot, they build tiny homes and RV park, and the rule is they require them to pay rent. They're required to. We need to work with some companies like that, or some nonprofits. We need to do some partnerships. But what the city can do, if you look at what Albuquerque and Dallas are doing right now, they're actually hiring homeless people to pick up trash and pull weeds and sort recycling, and just work. They're paying them a paycheck, everything. And so, housing first is important. But for me, giving someone purpose to wake up in the morning can change their life. And so I think that as a city, as a community, we can do better. Everyone is valued, everyone has worth, and oftentimes we view homelessness and homeless people as worthless. But in all reality, there are three types of homelessness. There's by choice, by chance, and mental health.
And mental health is a big part of that.
Absolutely, and the fact that we do not have a state mental health facility in our city, after we lost Lakeshore, we took a hit. That's why I've proposed that, Tenova, rather than be a police station, it be a mental health facility and affordable housing units. Because it's the most perfect location for that. It makes sense, it's logical. To change a hospital into a hospital, the cost is way less. But we can do better with homelessness.
We have 30 seconds left.
That's not long.
Let's end on your vision for this city.
I want Knoxville to be the blueprint for the modern Southeast. I'm tired of us sending our money to other metropolitans. I want people to look to us and go, why are they winning? Why are they so successful? How are they addressing those problems? Because I truly believe we can. That's why I've always said, people over politics. Let's put people first, let's put our communities first, and let's make Knoxville a better version of itself.
All right, now we did run out of time to ask Burkhart about a tax increase. He did tell us off camera that he was unequivocally opposed to one. We wanted to make sure we got that out there. All right, still to come, everyone, our panel of pundits talking about the pick for House Speaker. Stay where you are. You're watching Tennessee This Week. Welcome back, everyone, to Tennessee This Week. It's time now to talk to our panel of pundits, and we have with us today Craig Griffith, Courtney Piper, and George Corda. Good to see all three of you today.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
Whole gang is back. It seems like it's been a while.
Yeah. Long summer.
Yes, been a busy summer for a lot of us here. Let's go ahead and jump right into some of the big topics here. We just heard from two of the mayoral candidates. We're just going to go right down the line. Craig, what did you think from the candidates that we just heard from? Anything stand out to you?
Not really. I think that these candidates are sort of the second tier of candidates. I think that Marshall Stair, India Kincannon, and Eddie Maness are obviously, they're collecting the most money, seem to have the most interest, and the race is going to come down between those three, I think.
Courtney, your thoughts?
I've contributed to Marshall Stair's campaign for mayor, so I'll put that out there. But these two candidates with Fletcher and Michael, they're very passionate about a couple of issues, and they both feel called to serve. So it's very commendable that they have put themselves out there and they're running for office. But I certainly think that the strength of Stair, Maness, and Kincannon are going to overpower them and also the candidate that we had on 2 weeks ago.
George, would you agree?
Yeah. They're nice. They seem like nice guys, and they seem interested and passionate. But the only caveat in all of this is is going to be such a low turnout that if there's some miraculous vehicle they use to target enough voters to get out, that they might have a chance of making the runoff. But I don't. It's hard to see.
Okay, I wanted to ask Craig. I'm going to ask all three of you. Do you think it's important, though? You said that they probably, looking at the field of candidates, may not stand a chance. They're not the top three, in your opinion, at this point. But do you think it's important to have candidates like this to maybe bring different topics into the race that otherwise may not be there?
It doesn't matter unless the others take them seriously. Unless, see, there's just not the attention focused on local candidates like there used to be, even 20, 30 years ago. So they're having a much harder time these days communicating via the traditional methods to motivate people to take an interest in them and their issues. So they have a strike or two against them coming out of the box.
Do you agree?
I think that's correct. I think you could lump these in a more progressive group of candidates, more concerned about social justice, affordable housing, and things like that. But what I haven't heard much from them, probably due to a lack of experience in actual governance, is how they're going to pay for items like this. So I think it's good to have these discussions out there. But I think that the top 3 candidates we've listed are talking about some of those same issues.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that having candidates that are pushing very hyper local and passion issues is very, very important. It gets us talking about different kinds of issues from different communities and different perspectives. And you've seen those resonate in also the city council forums also. So it's really important to have candidates run who feel very passionately, even if it's about 1 or 2 pet projects.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to some big news on the Tennessee front as a state here. The House GOP caucus nominating Crossville Republican Cameron Sexton this past week to be the next speaker. We have been talking about all the events leading up to this, the falling out with Glenn Cassida as he is set to step down. Courtney, let's start with you. How do you think now that things have unfolded this way and we have a nominee?
I don't even know where to start with this. So first of all, the Speaker of the House is going to set the tone and culture for the Tennessee General Assembly for the House. And what the Republicans have done is they went into a closed-door session to pick their nominee where they don't have to do that. They should have an open debate on the House floor. This is not the caucus chair they're picking. This is the Speaker of the House that's supposed to represent the entire House, Democrats and Republicans. We should be able to vet him publicly and ask him questions about his role in Cassida's execution of leadership and on key votes. How involved was he with all the corruption and leadership by fear that Cassida is now well known for? And we don't know that.
George, you made a face.
Well, let the chairman of the Democratic Party do that. They're not going to get together and say, let's have an open discussion about the speaker. Elections have consequences. Republicans have a supermajority. There's a reason for that. And they elected the guy that they want to be speaker, and he's going to be speaker. Now, he's saying all the right things. He's talking about all the right things, work with Democrats, et cetera, but he hasn't been speaker yet. And once he's in there, he's going to find out what the extent of his power is and the limits of it. And he's going to put his own stamp on it, and we'll be either praising or criticizing him for whatever he does next year anyway.
What about Bill Dunn in all of this?
That's interesting.
He got, I think, wedged out. He came out so early against Cassida, I think that there was a movement not to allow him. I guess he still could be elected pro tem. Highly unlikely, but I think he got boxed out of the whole process because of his early condemnation of Cassida's action, which was the right thing to do, in my opinion. But I'm cynical. We have a new guy, new Speaker of the House. Is there going to be any difference? I don't think so. I've seen many of these scandals, issues come up, and there's a lot of talk of change, and it all goes back to the way it was before. Power brokers, people trying to get their own way, chairmen of committees trying to get their committees back. So I don't think there's going to be any difference at all.
I believe that probably all 3 of you, we've had so many changes of pundits over the summer months here, have said at some point or another you felt like there was a reason why all of this was shaking out the way it was. There was some other motivation. Any guesses on what that motivation was?
Well, Cassida ruled with an iron fist. I mean, he made a lot of people mad. And then, of course, when the emails and everything came out, he was really left with very little wiggle room. And it showed, I think, in the secret caucus vote that was the no confidence vote on him. So I think that, he got what he, whatever the saying is, he got what he dished out.
But Courtney, I think even we've talked about it on the show about the fact that Cassida was allowed to say, oh, I'm going on vacation, I'll make that decision later. Oh, I'm going to resign. And he still, as of the taping of the show, has not officially stepped down yet.
Correct. Something's going on here, and I have a feeling that the investigation into the voucher vote is going to bring a lot more of what might have been happening behind the scenes to light. We already had a local representative, Kent Calfee, share his side of the story and say, yeah, Speaker Cassida told me point blank I'd have a primary opponent if I voted against the vouchers. So I think we're going to see more and more of that sort of thing unfold.
We have 30 seconds left.
There's a famous story about Governor Ned McWhorter, who was a Democrat, and he wanted a road bill passed. And a legislator came into his office, and the story is that McWhorter took a toy bulldozer out of his drawer and put it on the desk and said, if you ever want to see one of those in your district again, you'll vote for my bill. And so that stuff is part of the process. Now the question is, was anything illegal done? And nobody said there was. So
right.
there's going to be.
We need
People
to
are
leave it there.
saying there
Unfortunately,
was.
we are out of time. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Have a great weekend. We'll see you back next week.